I am Nikhil Kumar. I am posted as professor in the Department of English of Veer Kunwar Singh University, Ara. Today, I wish to establish that Shri Aurobindo's monumental epic Savitri is the transcendent mantra. Because it is the transcendent mantra, one can view it as the future mantra or future poetry. Poetry because mantra is essentially the poetic expression of the deepest spiritual reality. So let us discuss what is transcendent. Transcendent is that which existed prior to creation, and that transcendent is, or rather that transcendent exists beyond the plane of the creation itself, the creation in which all of us are living. In Sri Aurobindo's monumental prose, The Life Divine, which is of an epic stature, we have found him coining a word, or simply speaking, he has coined the word supramental, and we can use this word supramental very unmistakably for the transcendent. In fact, this creation is the result of what Sri Aurobindo calls the involution-evolution phenomenon. The biological sciences only visualizes the partial truth of this existence. It visualizes evolution out of matter, life evolves out of matter, mind evolves out of matter, and the planes existing beyond the plane of mind out of mind. That is to say, all these higher planes or higher orders of existence such as life, mind, and the planes beyond the mental consciousness are involved in matter. But they evolve out of matter only for the reason that they are already involved in matter. So a phenomenon just inverse to involution, a phenomenon just inverse to evolution, which Sri Aurobindo terms involution, takes place. So when we visualize this creation or existence in the light of involution phenomenon, we find that very transcendent plane of existence for which we can use the term supramental. So supramental is the one integral consciousness, and because of its working out of the separative principle of existence, the creation has come into existence. And when we study Savitri, we find that Sri Aurobindo has written Savitri from this plane of transcendent consciousness or supramental consciousness. Therefore, it is mantra, a transcendent mantra. Because Sri Aurobindo discovered mantra on the plane of mind, because beyond the plane of mental consciousness there exists spiritual mind consciousness, and there are 4 planes of spiritual mind consciousness, and Sri Aurobindo has discovered these four planes: high mind, illumined mind, intuitive mind, and lower mind, and poetry written from the plane of or rather higher plane of intuitive mind, and the overmind consciousness is one. But because the supramental consciousness is transcendent to this spiritual mind consciousness, from where Sri Aurobindo has written Savitri, it can be called the transcendent mantra, or transcendent poetry, or transcendent, or you can say future poetry. So it is future because the mankind is yet to evolve to this very plane. And Sri Aurobindo has visualized this creation through the eyes of this supramental consciousness or transcendent consciousness. We can refer to Albert Einstein's discovery of four-dimensional plane of existence. And Einstein proves that this three-dimensional plane of existence is a projection of four-dimensional plane of existence, exactly in the same way in which a shadow is a two-dimensional projection of the three-dimensional object. So naturally a higher reality exists beyond the plane of dimensionality. Similarly, a higher reality exists on the plane of four-dimensional existence, which is the one transcendent integral existence of space and time. Similarly, when Sri Aurobindo visualizes this three-dimensional world or this plane of creation from the plane of supramental consciousness, he discovers so many hidden realities which have escaped the yogic vision of the Vedic rishis and the writer of the Gita. So the one thing which he could discover from the plane of supramental consciousness is this, that he has revealed the pre-creation state of existence. The very first canto of Savitri presents a very lucid and vivid picture of the pre-creation of the state of Savitri. Rather, the very first line or the opening line of the epic Savitri, this pre-creation state of existence we find. The line is, it was the hour, H-O-U-R hour, before the gods, G capital, awake. I again repeat, it was the hour before the gods awake. So gods, who are these gods? There is one God, Supreme God in singular, and we have also the vision of gods. So when as a result of the working out of the separative principle of consciousness of the one transcendent supramental consciousness, the cosmos comes into existence. So many cosmic functions come into existence. And all the cosmic functions we express in the terms gods. So God, before the gods awake, means gods are sleeping, means the cosmic functions are suspended, therefore there is no creation at all. So the very opening line of the epic Savitri reveals the pre-creation state of existence. It could be possible for Sri Aurobindo to reveal it because he was born with the supramental consciousness, this transcendent consciousness. Or in other words, we can say that he is the first human being of this earth who was born with this supramental consciousness. It is for the reason that he is a man of supramental consciousness, he could discover two yogas which could not come into the yogic vision of the Vedic rishis and the writer of the Gita. These two yogas are firstly the yoga of the soul transformation of body, life and mind which are the three constituent parts of man's being, at the center of which there exists the divine self. So, and the other one which Sri Aurobindo could discover is the yoga of the supramentalization of the being of man, and later on of this terrestrial existence, and further the supramental transformation of matter itself. So, these two yogas are the clear evidence of the fact that Sri Aurobindo is the man of supramental consciousness, from where he has discovered these two yogas. All the Vedic rishis and the writers of the Gita could discover only the yoga of this spiritualization or spiritual transformation. Spiritual transformation is the transformation in which one ascends all the four planes of spiritual consciousness, and as a result of the ascent to those four planes of spiritual consciousness, there descends the consciousness of all these four spiritual planes of consciousness, and one undergoes the spiritual transformation. But the yoga of the soul transformation of body, life and mind, Sri Aurobindo has also called it a yoga of psychicization. What happens that these three also undergo divine transformation. In fact, due to this supramental vision, Sri Aurobindo could discover that the divine self in us exists in its two poises. The central being of the divine self is what he calls Jivatma, and the other poise of the divine self is what he calls psychic being, and it is instrumental in the spiritual evolution of man. So, actually this psychic being is present even in the minutest particle of matter in the spark state. So, on the stage of human being, what happens that this psychic being exists behind body, life and mind. So, both all these three are at conflict with each other, so that we undergo different types of motor problems such as depression, such as confusion, and a large number of things are there. What happens that as a result of the yoga of the psychicization, the very psychic being comes in front and takes over the command of body, life and mind, and the very divine consciousness, which is transcendent integral consciousness, percolates into these three, and they come under the governance of this transcendent supramental consciousness. They become obedient servants of the divine self, that is to say, they become fit instruments for the transmission of that which is being transmitted by the divine consciousness existing within the divine self of us, and this divine self in fact is the individual poise of the one transcendent supramental consciousness on its sovereign plane of existence. So, this very yoga of psychicization we do not find in the Rishi Durvasa, in Indra also, who did certain wrong acts even from our mental point of view also. But had they undergone this yoga of psychicization, so the anger would not be there in your in the Rishi Durvasa. And now let us see what is the yoga of spiritual transformation and supramental transformation. I have already spoken of this spiritual transformation. Actually, just now as I have told you that the divine self in us exists in its two poises, the psychic being and the central being, which is Jivatma, and psychic being is a projection of that very Jivatma. So long as we are under spiritual transformation, actually this psychic being moves towards Jivatma, I must make it clear that they are separated. Separated doesn't mean that there is a divorce between the psychic being and Jivatma. So, in fact, there is a distance between psychic being and Jivatma, and in the supramental transformation, what happens that when we go beyond the plane of overmind consciousness, which is the summit of his spiritual consciousness, and enter into the supramental world, this psychic being comes to be one with the Jivatma. On the plane of overmind consciousness, there is a least distance between psychic being and Jivatma, but on the plane of supramental consciousness, these two come to be one, and actually when these two come to be one, the transcendent supramental consciousness descends into the being of man. And this thing in Savitri we find in Satyavan's death. Satyavan represents matter. He represents human being, but he also represents or symbolizes matter itself. So, Satyavan's death and later on his coming back into the life is in fact the descent and establishment of the supramental consciousness into his being, and Satyavan undergoes the supramental transformation, and in course of time that supramental consciousness will percolate into matter and it will be established here. In fact, it has already taken place, because Sri Aurobindo left his body to finish the unfinished task of supramentalization of this creation, because he discovers the existence of a plane of subtle matter in the hierarchy or in the cosmic hierarchy of this very creation, and one of the planes is the plane of subtle matter, and subtle matter is the origin of this gross matter in which all of us are living. So, Sri Aurobindo left his gross body so that he could go there, because everybody after his gross physical death goes to the world of or into the world of subtle matter. So, Sri Aurobindo went there, and there he could bring down the supramental consciousness, and he supramentalized it. So, when Satyavan died and his soul went to the supramental world, into the subtle world which was supramentalized, so actually what happened that after supramentalization, if somebody comes back into his life, the supramental consciousness descends into him. So, whatever we find in Satyavan's resurrection or coming back to life is a future event which took place after the death of Sri Aurobindo, and if my memory is not wrong, it happened in the year 1956. So, a golden day is observed in Pondicherry on this very occasion or for this very event. When we go through this epic Savitri, we find these three yogas in the two main characters of the epic. We know that epic is a long narrative poem, and the story which is there is the story of Satyavan and Savitri, which have been taken from the Mahabharata. So, we have two yogas in Sri Aurobindo's Savitri. We have found two persons, two characters under yogas. Ashwapati undertakes the yoga of psychicization of his body, life and mind, that is to say the supramental transformation of body, life and mind, and the yoga of spiritual transformation. These two yogas are undertaken by Satyavan. Satyavan undertakes. And later on in the epic we also find Savitri undertaking the yoga of supramentalization and the consequent supramental transformation of her being. So Savitri's yoga is the yoga of supramentalization. So these three yogas we find in these two main characters of the epic Savitri. So whatever the truth I have attempted to reproduce here, that very truth could not come into the vision of the Vedic rishis and the writer of the Gita, who are recognized as the men of highest consciousness on account of being the men of spiritual consciousness. But because Sri Aurobindo could discover it, it's evident that he is the man of the supramental consciousness. In Vedic rishis and the writer of the Gita have not at all spoken of the transformation of the body, of the transformation of the matter itself. None of the Vedas and the writer of the Gita had stated so. It is only Sri Aurobindo who has revealed the descent, the coming down of the supramental consciousness from its transcendent plane into matter and its consequent transformation. Therefore, he speaks of a divine life, and he has named his monumental prose work as The Life Divine, only for this reason. That's all. Thank you very much.